Oh, why can't I hear you?
Look at me being the first one on.
You were. And then here's Lori.
Hey, Lori, can I share something with you real quick before
Yeah.
everybody jumps on?
Yeah. Hi.
So Cheryl can yell at me if I'm not supposed to do this. But your coaching, I just wanted to share with you, what's fascinating is, and it's kind of a different realm, but in the same genre. I was diagnosed with low-grade Crohn's about 8 years ago. And I started going, I had like 3 different diagnoses about different things. It was all autoimmune and inflammation. And everybody wanted me to take a pill for every issue. And I went to an integrative functional doctor here in Orlando. And he did allergy testing on me. And I went gluten and dairy free. And I am on thyroid meds because of him, but that's pretty minor. But I just got retested and they're like, oh, we're taking Crohn's off your diagnosis.
Yes.
So, right. So I just think it's a powerful story that, yeah, I'm probably not supposed to share that, Cheryl, so you can yell at me.
I love that. I love that. And honestly, oh, I just love it. And I'm having such a struggle right now because my naturopath and my oncologist are at it. Right?
Oh.
One wants me to do one thing, one wants me to do another. And because of everything that I've done, I actually stopped taking my immunotherapy drugs because I did this test that proved that they were only going to be 10% effective for me. Mm-hmm. And so I kind of went and I did other things. Like there's a cancer vaccine and all this stuff that I'm doing. And my oncologist is so annoyed that I'm refusing to take the meds. They keep literally scheduling appointments with me to kind of do an intervention. So we could have a conversation around the medication. And literally last week I was on the phone for probably 3 hours being like, I don't understand why I have another appointment. So I had to be really firm where I'm like, I'm not taking it. I'm not doing it.
It's your choice, right?
Yeah.
I always tell people it's always the individual's choice and the individual's journey. Yeah. And they're the one that has to be happy with the outcome.
Yeah. And I recognize it's all on me, right? Yeah. And I'm okay with it. But I just felt terrible. So I'm like, I'm not doing it. Until I had.
Anyways, I was just listening to you and I was like, yeah, I have a sister who's a nurse and she's always on me about, oh, that's garbage or, oh, I'm like, that's fine. But they took it off so you can say what you want.
I love it. I think that's awesome. Great news. Great news.
I firmly believe in holistic.
Yeah. My integrative doctor, he does everything holistic until he can't. At the very end. But even and people get kind of dicey about this, it took him a long time for him to say to do the COVID vaccine because when they tested it, and my vet told me this too, because she had the same diagnosis as me, they tested it on the general population. Mm-hmm. It was kicking people with autoimmune diseases out of remission. Mm-hmm. So that's a big, if you don't know how hard it is to get into remission, then you're kind of like, oh, we'll just take it. And you're like, no, it took a lot to get there.
Yeah.
I want to get out.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. I have a whole conversation around that.
Oh, I'll come to it since you're moving to Tampa.
What's that?
If you do it publicly, I'll come to it since you're moving to Tampa.
Oh, I'm saying I have. Oh, okay. Yeah. Great idea. But I'm meaning I have so many opinions on the whole thing that
yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah. How did I not realize that you're in Orlando?
I don't know, because it doesn't say Marcy Orlando on my thing. I mean, really, it doesn't. I don't think we might have said it in the very beginning, but there was so much going on. I think when you start a class, you're a little overwhelmed that you don't always absorb all of that.
Yeah. Agreed.
All right, Cheryl, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take over the beginning of your class.
That's fine.
Oh, she did.
It's coaching love. Holly looks like she got some sun.
I think it's just
your natural glow.
Rosacea flare up. and no makeup. I've been using a rosacea cream, and it pulls out the bumps. Mm-hmm. And at night I'm getting redder.
Oh no.
But it's good after a couple weeks.
Oh,
be good.
okay. We want that then.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Meanwhile, my thing is getting worse.
Oh no.
Yeah, my legs this morning were like, what in the world? I just don't understand. It's been a week since I was anywhere.
It looked
Yeah.
like bed bugs.
Yes, but they're
They're
not.
too, yeah, they're not. They're not close enough together.
And they're
Right.
and
Too spread
well,
out.
yeah, and I mean they do have some sort of a path to them, but also we checked everything. And they're kind of big for bed bugs because they're like that big. I mean, they're up to like
Oh.
this now.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
You know, they
we
use
actually
beagles to find bed bugs.
what?
They use beagles to sniff out bed bugs in hotels.
Yeah.
There's a
Really?
fun
Do you know
little
what kind of
fact.
bug's doing
That's a
it, or
good
if it is a bug?
So no, I woke up with a slight fever, and I still have this slight fever. It's a low grade fever. And then these, I mean, I didn't even know they were bites. They were itchy, but they were pretty big and hard, like really hard, solid. I'm like, what is this? And so I went to urgent care, and they were like, well, it could be bites. Well, what kind of bites? Well, it's hard to tell.
Oh my
Okay.
God.
But they were like, if in a couple days you still have them and still have the fever, then we'll do blood work. Okay. So I guess by tomorrow, if it's still there, I'll have to go and get blood work.
That's not fun.
But then I woke up this morning and there was more. They gave me a cream, but I woke up this morning and there was more. So it's just really weird. And I had to cancel I had a pedicure scheduled, so I had to cancel that. Anyway.
Cheryl,
Oh,
did you try antihistamines to see if it's like an allergic reaction to something?
Yeah, so the cream has an antihistamine in it.
Right.
I can't take the orally antihistamines.
Okay, got it.
Unless I have like a natural one, homeopathic one, but it's not
Yeah.
really antihistamine. So yeah. So I'm
Yeah.
just doing the cream.
Well, if you need something homeopathic that works absolute wonders for all sorts of things like that and allergies, let me know.
Okay. I ordered these pills and stuff from Amazon from a pretty big name. I can't remember the name though. It begins with a B. Pretty long name. And I use that for, but it's not real strong. You know, it's homeopathic. There's no like real medicine in it.
No, I have a weird, I call it my voodoo blood thing, that my naturopath told me to do. She's so weird. She is just so weird. But anyways, and it worked wonders. I was getting like I no longer have to carry an EpiPen for bees. And
Wow.
I no longer
can't
have an
remember
issue with black flies that used to leave dinner plate size welts on my legs. And it worked brilliantly. So I just do it every single year just to make sure, and it's free. So if you decide
Okay,
you
you
want
can tell
the
me what that
recipe
is.
for that weird concoction, I'll send it over to you.
Okay, thanks. All right. So we're almost done. Yay.
Aren't we missing somebody?
We are. Kim will be here shortly. There she is. And then D. Well, it's not like D to be late.
By the way, I listened to one of the sessions that I missed where you were looking for me.
Like, wait, where's Marcy? Let me text D because it's not usually a late person.
And the timing was perfect because whoever did, I forget who did the coaching that week. I think Kim did the coaching. Yeah, because Kim coached Lori in that session. That was the one I just listened to. And I think that was that the one I listened, whatever it was, they did a really good agreement. So it was a really good one for me to listen to since I've been working on my agreement.
I think everybody's been working on the agreement.
Cheryl, I
Everybody.
met with Dee this morning went for a practice, and she said she was. She
She's
said-
here.
Okay, great. Sorry.
Yeah. Thanks. All right. Who's Hola or Ola?
Holly.
Oh, Holly.
Holla.
Holla. Okay, I got it now.
Sorry,
Uh,
my friend called me. I don't know why that's up there
I don't know.
in a week.
And as soon as Kim gets on and Georgie gets on for a minute, I'm going to take a picture of us.
What?
I want
Like,
to
you
take a
should
screenshot.
preamp the picture.
I'm taking a screenshot. I don't
You
care what
just talked
anybody
about my
says.
red nose.
No, you have to be on. You cannot go off.
I'm driving, Cheryl. I'll be home in about 15 minutes, and then I'll be ready and all made up for that.
Okay. I'm not taking it now. You guys didn't have to go off camera.
Well, can we take it at the beginning of Thursday so we're all prepared?
Okay. But I don't know if Valerie will be here Thursday.
All right, can we take it after the break?
Yeah, I guess. Yes, we can take it after the break. And we can
Well-
take it Thursday if everybody's going to be here.
What's the photo for?
It's for social media. When I celebrate the class ending.
Okay. I did not know you did that. Did you do that with the ACC too?
I did.
Huh. Good to know. I didn't see that.
And just like, congratulations. Yada, yada, yada.
Now's
That's
your
all.
chance to take your last name off or change your name to Hala.
Nice,
No, I
Marcy.
already called that one. Find your own.
Creative up there.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So
What are
tonight,
you doing, Kimmy? What are you doing, Kimmy? You getting that?
just getting out of her car. You're on the
car.
camera, Kim. Just so you know.
Hey.
All right. So tonight, unless somebody's changed, if somebody changed, let me know. I forget where the change was, but I have Marcy coaching Kim and then Lori coaching Christine. Is that right?
No, she's coaching me because Christine and I swapped last week.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, look
Okay.
at Valerie's avatar. Look.
That is
I
awesome.
want one of those. I want one of those.
Funny.
Okay, take a picture of that, coach. Yeah, we can all have avatars like that. You can.
That is funny. Okay, so we have that, and then we have chapter 12, which is not really a whole chapter. So, we're just like wrapping up our material. We have the 2 coaching sessions tonight, and then Thursday we have our last group mentoring, and we have a coaching session there. Excuse me. And then next Tuesday we have our finals. So just going over to our chapter.
And the workbook is due on the 26th.
Yeah, I just can't give you your cert until I get the workbook. That's basically it. So,
But the questions are the same ones that you have that we've been going through, right, as the assignments.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And everything. So there's going to be a post. I think Jess is posting it tonight, but it has. I'll go over it with you. But it has. It's going to have the link for the workbook. It'll have the link to schedule your third and final one-on-one. It'll have steps to be ready for your performance evaluation for that class. So there's some things that I laid out there. And then when we go over when we do the prep for your ICF final exam, there'll be some things in there for you to download for that as well. So that'll all be in that one post, or maybe 2 posts actually, so that you'll have everything that you need to finish out the course and to be ready for the ICF portion of it. Okay. Uh, the homework assignments, homework workbook. That's the paperwork that's due. Okay.
Did you get certified yet? Did the course get credentialed yet, or whatever the wording is?
Not yet. I mean, it will. I don't expect it to take much longer. I mean, I'm in the queue, so I don't know how many people they have ahead of me. It's hard to say, but I only have the add-on piece for my level 2 accreditation, so they don't have to do the whole thing because the first part of the level 2 is the level 1. So it's just the add-on piece that they have to accredit it. So it shouldn't take long once they get there. So yeah, I don't expect that to take long. All right. So when we look at our final chapter, even though we have a couple more things to do, I want to say that this is, this has been, I feel like it's been challenging material, and, getting everybody to recognize what we need to do at a PCC level, I found very rewarding for myself. So I hope that you guys have enjoyed that and have seen a shift in your coaching. I've definitely seen a shift in your coaching from the beginning of the course till now for everybody. And just because we end the course, next week, does not mean that your learning ends. We all continue to learn, and especially when you get your PCC, you have to do your continuing, your CCEUs, your 40 CCEUs, and hopefully, you'll choose. So here's the thing: some of my ACC mentees sometimes choose really quick courses just to get those 40 CCEs in, right? And my recommendation is not to do that. It's to choose something that it really interests you, that's really going to help you to move forward and enhance your skills. And it might be, if you're into the emotional intelligence piece, it might be more emotional intelligence. It might be, some other types of there's some other types of intelligence out there to use in coaching, positive intelligence, and there's several of them. So choose something that's going to enhance your, your coaching, and that interests you, not something just to get your 40 CCEs. So that's just my suggestion there, because it always is better to do something that's going to be, enhance you in the long run, especially like when you look at, if you want to go to an MCC, the more forward thinking and progressive type of coaching classes, education that you take, the better off you're going to be when you actually go for your MCC. By the time you guys are ready, I will have a level 3 program, and you'll just come back and take that with me. And then you'll get your MCC.
How long do you have to wait until you can do that, Cheryl, for yourself?
For me?
For you to offer the MCC level training?
I just need to get my MCC.
Oh, cool. Okay, great.
Yeah. So I had applied, and I have, I failed one of the recordings. So I have to redo that and pass that recording, but that's my only thing between me and my MCC. So
Cool.
Go ahead, Val.
Cool.
So let me
So
ask.
basically, it'll be
sorry.
kind of like this one, where I really didn't feel ready to do the PCC, but I did it anyways.
Exactly what it's going to be, Christine.
Ching.
Go ahead, Valerie. I can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Okay.
Yes.
I guess these aren't, I could hear you, but I guess you, anyway, 4 minutes ago, I got a notice from ICF saying your ACC expires on 6/30.
Yeah, you have a 2-month grace period, so you'll be fine. You have 60 days. We'll have it before 60 days is up. We'll have it way before that. Yeah. You're making a face. You have everybody gets 2 months. grace period. And actually, not that you have to worry about this, but you actually can do it up until 8 months. They charge you another 6 months. They just prorate your renewal rate up. So some people don't even worry about that 2 month if they're in a course. But the other thing is, if it does concern you, you can let them know that you're in a level 2 course and that it's ending. And that, again, they'll just say, oh, that's okay. You have that 2 month grace period.
So what's the phase of taking the test? Have you talked
Hang on, I
about
think
that yet?
Valerie's still talking. Valerie, we can't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I think she's frozen or something.
Oh, there
Can
you
you hear,
are.
well, yeah, it's a little bit, because I'm out in a cabin, but,
Yeah, we can't hear you. If you want to type it in, I could probably answer better in the chat because I can't, you froze again. Good, Deanna. What were you saying?
I was just wondering the cost of the test from the ICF to take the test.
Yeah, so when you go, I'm going to go over all that on Thursday, but when you go to,
Okay, never mind. I can wait then. That's fine.
yeah, we'll go over the whole application piece of it
Okay.
on Thursday. Okay, I figured that's what was going to happen there. Okay, so again, just for your CCEUs, kind of be focused on that. You have to get 40 every 3 years, just like you did with your ACC. The difference though is there for the PCC is that you do not need to have 10 more hours of mentoring. However, I recommend it. I have mentoring every year. I don't ever let a year go by without it. I like to check in. I like my mentor coach to listen to a recording, to give me some feedback. So I'm not picking up bad habits. These are things just to kind of think about, again, to keep your coaching, ahead of the game, keep your things on track and not pick up any bad habits and things along those lines. And then also, things are always changing. I will tell you that the ICAP is going to come out with another set of, they're not going to be PCC markers, but they're going to be another set of like things. I don't even know what they called them next year. And so if you're not tuned in, then you're not picking up those things either. So just something to think about. And Valerie, I was saying, if you wanted to type it out, what your next question was, or if you want to
Cheryl,
try it.
I think it's better now. Is it better now?
Yeah.
Okay. You said I can notify them. So
Yeah, you're breaking up.
do they to you get it? The response, is that where you are?
Again, I can't. You broke up. Oh, maybe turn your camera off. That might help.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is that better? Is that better?
it is right now.
Is that better? Okay. The question was, is it that any indication about the timing? About you being credentialed?
No, it would just be to tell them that you're in a level 2 program. Like they won't even care who it's
Okay.
with.
But I'm just asking if you have any. Okay,
Again, I
how
didn't
are
hear.
we
I
gonna
didn't.
know, Cheryl? You're gonna reach out to.
As soon as I get approved, I'm going to send you your certs, your level 2 certifications. And that's what you use to apply.
Cheryl, can I ask you a question? I heard you say something that perked my ears.
Yeah.
You just mentioned that, did I hear this right, that with PCC, we don't need to do the mentoring hours, but we still need to do 40 hours every 3 years or so? I don't know why I was in the impression that with PCC, we didn't need to be doing extra hours. like
Oh, no,
CUs?
you always have to do CCEUs for renewals, no matter what level.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, 40. Right now it's 40 for all 3 levels.
Well, what's the time frame they have to be taken within?
Every 3 years. Just
Oh,
before your
okay.
renewal.
There you go, Georgie.
Yeah, just
Got it.
before
Got
your
it. Thank you.
renewal.
Thank you.
Okay, now everybody went off camera. Well, not everybody, but a lot of people went off camera. Yeah, so that's standard for any credential renewals, the 40 CCEs. ACC needs an additional 10 hours every year. I mean, every renewal. PCC and MCC do not. But again, I recommend that you do it. Again, just to check in, get feedback, talk through the process of renewal, or if you're going up to the next level, see what's changed, things like that. Okay, so some things to look at that we've done across kind of our chapters, our course. So we've kind of explored a deeper, more hopefully embodied understanding of the ICF core competencies and how those 15 subscales of emotional intelligence integrate into them very easily, and especially with presence and inquiry. And then coaching trust, trauma, complexity, and performance with alignment and safety that we want to make sure that we're always bringing to our sessions. And then we talk through some tools and strategies for reflective practice, resilience, and client transformation. Again, these are the things that we want to bring into our coaching. You've practiced holding emotional space without trying to fix the situation, deepening your intuition and somatic awareness, responding to ethical dilemmas with discernment, supporting leaders, visionaries, and clients navigating real life change. And just kind of a reminder, you don't need to be perfect in anything that you do. As coaches, we're not going to be perfect. You just need to be present, reflective, and committed to your own growth as well as your client's growth. So I want you to take a moment and acknowledge where you started at the beginning of this course, where you feel like your coaching was in the beginning, and where you are now. And I want you to see the growth because there's a lot of growth in there for everyone. And then kind of think through, what was your definition of good coaching at the beginning of the course and what is it now? Has it changed? Hopefully it's changed. I mean, I want everybody to have an idea of what they consider to be good coaching, no matter what we have going on. But when we see different things and how they connect, when you take more advanced courses, and as you keep going, if you keep taking more advanced courses, you'll see even more, right? Each one that you take, you pull something out for yourself. So kind of just noticing, like, where was I at the beginning and where am I now? What strengths have deepened, through your experience? So what strengths have gotten better? And what mindset pattern or assumptions did you outgrow? So some things that maybe weren't strengths, maybe not weaknesses, but they were there for improvement. What has improved there? Because growth happens in the in-between moments, right? Sometimes it's not very cut and dried. And it's not like a math test where you take a test and you didn't know how to add 5 plus 5, and then you take a test and you do know how to add 5 plus 5. It's not that clear for when you have this type of learning. Anybody want to share? Anybody have something that's right top of mind that you'd like to share as far as any of those 3 things that I just talked about, like how your definition of good coaching changed, or what strengths may have deepened, or what mindset or patterns or assumptions did you kind of outgrow, or feel like you now have a better handle on? Anybody want to share anything like that?
I'll share.
Go ahead, Marcy.
The biggest there were 2 ahas. I think the trauma-based last week really spoke to me, how no matter what you're coaching on, trauma can come in and how do you hold space for that. But I really think the big aha, and I'm going to kind of make a connection so I did yoga teacher training, and I've learned that one of the most beautiful things you can do for people in yoga is just hold judgment-free space. And that's in like a different realm, like in a physical realm for people. But I feel like coaching, the beauty of coaching a lot of times is just holding that space for folks and giving them the time to process and asking them those questions. But the beauty, I think, sometimes is in the silence, asking that question and just letting them process without pressure.
Yeah. I like that. The beauty is in the silence. I'm writing that down.
I trademarked that. No, I'm just
Thank you for sharing that. Anyone else?
I think, is this just some of our learnings you're asking about?
Yeah. Growth, learning. Yep.
Yeah, for me, you know, just really trying to ask more open-ended questions is huge. And it really took an adjustment to try to think about how to frame them. But one of the things that I think has helped me to get better at it is coming from less of a checking off the box and coming from more of a place of curiosity. It's a lot easier to ask those open-ended questions when they're coming from a very genuinely curious place.
Yeah, I love that. It's definitely a shift, right? And because that checklist is like the mental part, and the curiosity is the heart part, or it can still be part of that, like the head part, but it's deeper. It's not that surface. But yeah, I can definitely, see that difference. We've talked about those close-ended questions before, and you've done really well with that. So I'm glad to see that that's something that you recognize and can actually see the growth yourself. Thank you. Someone else?
I can't find my hand to raise my hand.
You don't have to.
Shout it out here, girl.
One of the things that I love, and it's so funny because it's what I struggled with the most in this class, is the coaching agreement, and like getting that measurement and getting really super specific and like taking the time and not rushing it. And I've been awful. I thought I had it. I was really good. And then for some reason in this class, I'm just kind of like falling apart around it. So let's see what happens tonight. But I really love, kind of like what everybody's saying, being able to take that time, not rush the conversation, and then not actually saying anything back. Don't give the hums, don't give the approval, don't give anything, is like the thing that I am like going after, like just keeping my mouth shut.
Yeah, because I mean, I did that in the beginning, right? Like we not that we learned it, but it was something like when we were learning how to coach, you just were like, oh, well, let me acknowledge the client, like when they're talking, right? But then you learn that that's just, it's not necessary, and it actually can detract from the conversation. So I love that. Not having to say anything. Awesome. Go ahead, Dee.
Lori, I love that. That was perfect. I just absolutely love that, because when Coach said, tell me what, I didn't even know that. Tell me, who knew that? But anyway, so my big awareness from this is the emotion coaching, and how that it allows, how all of these pieces that you've taught us has allowed to really get into the transformational coaching, to be able to tap into those emotions, to the body semantics, to be able to really, really be able to see those cues and know what to do to be able to bring that transformation about. It was just amazing.
Awesome. Thank you. And that's what it's about, transformation, right? It might not be a huge transformation, but coaching is about transformation. Go ahead, Kim.
Yeah, it's made me just pay attention more to in the moment for the client, like staying out of my own head and really trusting the flow of the coaching, and just staying, on that wavelength of the client, like just, not asking questions or leading, or like working on that, making sure that my questions are not coming from another place of my own curiosity, like trying to make it so my questions are relating to the client and they're here and now, and just always challenging myself. Like I'm always wanting to learn more, and I feel like every time I coach with you, I'm always growing. So I'm always excited to know what else I can learn about myself. So thank you for the
Thank you. I'd love to hear that. Thank you. Someone else? All right. Thank you all for that. And the next steps kind of that we've already talked a little bit about, but laid out in your chapter. You will get a checklist for when you, again, one of the things that'll be posted will be a checklist, but basically, your final coaching demonstration is just going to be in the class. We're going to send you out next Thursday. You're going to get sent out. You're going to, in your rooms, you're both going to record. You're going to record your session where you're coaching, and then you'll turn it off, and your coach will turn theirs on, and they're going to coach for that next half hour to 40 minutes. And then you'll come back to the class afterwards, and you'll use the form, and together during the class, you're going to submit everything with that form, so nobody has any problems with it. And then we'll close out with the stuff that we need to in the class. Go ahead, Christine.
Are we just doing breakout rooms for that?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. And then you'll have to finish your mentor hour. So if you have not had 2 sessions with me yet, you're behind. And we need to get those done. Kim's one of them. That was my fault though. I rescheduled that one. So you need to have had 2, and then we need a 3rd one after the course ends. So keep that in mind. You need a recording. I should have 3 recordings for each of you. That's a requirement because I'm required to have 6. So we count the in-class ones and then the recording one. Christine, then Marcy, then Kim.
I do not remember if I even sent you 2 recordings or met with you twice.
Let me see.
How do we figure that out? Do you have that record of that? I probably should. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. I have a record of everything.
I think I did, but
We've only had 1.
oh God. Have I only submitted 1 recording? Oh, well, I have a whole bunch, so I'll just
send it on over.
I'll just send something. I'll just pick one out of my list of recordings I have.
There you go. That'll work.
Okay.
All right. Marcy?
For the in-class recording, do we need to pay for the transcript and do that for that as well, or you'll just walk us through that next week?
Yeah, I mean, it's a form that you fill out, and you have to submit the recording link, and you have to submit a transcription or
okay.
And I'll just give you the link at the beginning of the class for those that want me to do the transcription. Okay. Kim?
Okay, so you probably answered this and I may not have heard you. So sorry if in advance, but just wanted to know, when is everything due to you? Like our written material, everything, like what is the deadline?
So it's by your 3rd one-on-one, basically, because at your 3rd one-on-one, you're done the course. And so I should have your materials there then as well. For a lot of you, it's going to be the end of June or the 1st or 2nd weekend. Well, it won't be so I'm on vacation from July 5th. I was trying to get everything done because I'm on vacation from July 5th on, like the 4th on really. So if you don't get it done by the 3rd of July, you're not getting it done until the 3rd week. Because I'm not doing anything during my vacation week. I need a week off.
So when are you back?
I am back on the 12th or whatever that Sunday is.
And you'll tell us if we pass before then, so we know about our third recording, our third coaching.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I will.
And so
Um,
we can't apply for PCC until we're finished with you, of course.
Right, because I can't submit the course or the certificate. I can't give you the certificate for you to submit until the course is done, which includes that 3rd one-on-one and
Right.
your final.
Right.
Right.
Okay.
And also, you're not going to apply before I get my certification anyway, my accreditation. So you're waiting for that anyway. But your part with me will be done after that 3rd one-on-one.
Okay, and we have to wait for you to get your PCC before we go for ours.
Well, my accreditation, my level 2 accreditation. Yeah, because they don't count. It was the same as the level 1 was. You did the same thing. You waited until I had the level 1 accreditation, which was only like 2 weeks. So I don't think this one's going to be as fast. I think they have more applications in the summer, and we did that in the winter. So, but anyway, well, we did it springish, and then it was like full on winter. So,
and as you're saying too, like as long as they know that we're in this process, they'll probably be forgiving.
yeah, well, and yours isn't coming due anyway, right? So you don't have
Okay.
to worry about it.
What's
Yours isn't, your ACC isn't coming due yet, is it?
It is, yeah.
Oh, when is it coming due?
This month, next month.
You don't know?
Yeah, I'll have to double check again, but yeah, it's pretty soon.
Okay, well then, again, you have a 2-month grace period
Yeah.
that they give everybody. And then after that, they still don't cut you off. It's just that they start to prorate the renewal fee. So it just winds up being a little bit more.
Okay.
But again, you should be fine. Okay. And then after we do the final, you guys come back, we will go through I'll go through the application process with you so you can see exactly where you have to do it and everything that's involved there. So your real learning or application of your learning, of course, happens after this course. The things to support you that are going to be the strongest things for you to do are stay connected with peers and your coaching community. I've invited you all into the Facebook group that's just for graduates. So go ahead and check your notifications and hopefully you can join that group. And as that grows, I think it's going to be a great, support system. And then also you all get 6 months into the Coaches Launch Lab. So I think those invitations were sent out as well. If you want to use it, you actually have, more than happy to have you participate in that. And then, of course, again, continue with peer coaching when you can, continue with supervision or mentoring. And then looking at, your coaching agreements. This is something for you to look at now that we've gone through some more of the deeper ethical pieces of it and looking at how the coaching agreements and bias and all that stuff that we've gone through, right? Just take a look at your agreements and make sure that they align with, what we've talked about and the new ICF ethics, as well as, again, what you've learned here. And then, and your own values, right? Making sure that it's aligned with your own values for your business or even, it doesn't have to be your business. It could be, if you're working for a company, that's something to consider as well. I just had a mentoring client today that the company doesn't have a policy around the coaching. And so they require their coaches to be credentialed, but they don't have anything in place. And I said, that has to happen. Like you have to pursue that because it's your ethics that are at stake. If there's no agreement that they sign when they coach with you from you, because it's for a company, then there has to be something, a policy or something for that company around coaching. It doesn't necessarily have to be an agreement that is signed, but it should be a company policy that is specific to coaching and how the confidentiality is handled. And that's just across the board. It doesn't matter what kind of company you work for, that needs to be in place. So those are things that coaches internally have to sometimes lead in get those things to happen in the companies.
So where would you find a template for that? Because I'm talking with the company now and they don't have any in-house coaching. So, and I would love to be able to have that for them. That just makes me look all the, that much better as well. Here, you need
Yep.
this to hire me, kind of thing. So where would I find something like that?
So those kind of templates are inside the Coaches Launch Lab. So if you haven't joined that yet, I'll have Jess resend those invitations. There's a bunch of templates in there that you can grab.
And this is your group. This is your group.
It's the membership. Yeah, it's the membership and it's free for 6 months for you guys.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
And then again, that curiosity piece that Val was talking about, just let that curiosity lead your professional development as well as your client interactions. Okay. And then I just want to celebrate you guys. I think that you've all done such a great job and paid attention, and I love seeing the shift. So I'm a very much a observer, even before I became a mentor coach. And that's why I think I really liked mentor coaching and still, love it a lot. But, and I've just observed so much growth from all of you just from the beginning to now. And, even though there's always going to be things to improve on, right? We can still make a lot of notes of the growth that we've made. And that's what's important, is the growth. The stuff that we have to work on, there's always going to be something to work on. So, you can't let that get you down. You just really have to focus in on your growth. Unless it's the coaching agreement. I want you guys to get that coaching agreement right. But that's just a me thing. Yeah. Like, nah.
Marie, are you feeling the pressure today? Because I'm feeling the pressure.
You know what? Like, I've just conceded that someday, like, I try every time, and I used to be so good at it, and I fell out of it. So Marcy, we're gonna nail it today.
Yeah,
we're gonna nail it. That's where I'm standing.
Yeah. All right. Awesome. Okay. So, there's some final reflections at the end of that chapter. That's for you guys. You don't have to do it for me, but who are you now as a coach compared to when you began this journey? What are you taking going forward? And what version of you is waiting on the other side of that certification or that credential? Just kind of think through that.
There's a lot.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into our coaching. And where'd it go? Oh, there it is. So we're going to have, sorry, there's something in my throat. Marcy coaching Kim first. So everybody have your forms out, and we're just going to do general observations. We're not going to assign you a competency. If you have a specific competency that you like, pay attention to that one. But get your form, go off camera. Marcy, you're going to have 30 minutes, 7:15-ish. So you're going to go to 7:45, 6, 7, like 7:47. And you have the floor.
Thanks. Hi, Kim. How are you this evening?
Hi, Marcy. I'm doing good. Thanks.
Thanks for being here tonight. Is there anything that you need to clear before we start our session?
No, I think I'm okay. Thanks for asking.
Okay. I may take some notes during the session. So if you see me looking down or jotting something down, that's really just to help keep my memory in order. So if you'd like a copy of those notes after, I'm more than happy to provide those to you as well.
Sounds good.
What would be most helpful to explore this evening?
Yeah, I want to find out, what's getting in the way of me being creative at home. And I would like to, come away with a possible plan to schedule in some creative time. And yeah.
Is there a certain area of your home life that you're looking to be creative in?
Well, it's just when I'm my happiest, I'm already busy, but it doesn't necessarily mean I'm the happiest. I'm just, busy, right? So and I really enjoy getting into my leather work and creating. Like I do moccasins, I do archery gear and skull caps and things like that. And I do painting and artwork on them. And I bead and yeah, and so these things I have not touched for probably, I would say, for a good year at least, maybe even 2 years, because time has flown. And I know my coaching is really important to me. It is a priority, and I will put it as a priority over most things in my life. Whether it's, diving into more training or, doing something to learn more about it. Coaching, picking up contracts, which is great. I mean, it has been a priority and it's really important to me, but I also want to maintain the part of me that is creative.
Great. So you talked a little bit about adding that creativity back in because that's where you seem the most happiest, and creating a plan. What does that outcome of a plan look like for you?
What does the outcome of that plan look for me? I'm not sure how to answer that.
Is there something more specific within that plan that you're looking for? Or when you say a plan, what does that look like to you?
I mean, that's a good question because I'm not sure, like maybe what it is I'm looking to see if there's any blockages in my way. What are those blockages getting in the way of me being creative? Yeah, and it's, and as I'm thinking about it too, I mean, there's other things too that I haven't been doing. So, and that bring me a lot of happiness and joy too. So I noticed that lately I've been really wanting to connect with nature. And I mean, it's not like I'm very far from it. Like I have this mountain in front of me and I got the water close to me, but I'm still, I'm still right around my neighborhood. So it's not like I'm going out somewhere, in the forest and experiencing that. So there's a couple things that I usually have in my life a little more that I haven't had, if like much of anything, if at all. So yeah, like, maybe it's just, looking at, how can I fit in some more time, like to, schedule in things that are important to me. I mean, it's all important to me, but this is more about internal growth. This is more about soulful growth.
And then as you think about that, what are you hoping to walk away with from the end of our session?
I'd like to walk away with a schedule.
And how will you measure our success from the session?
I'll have a plan. I'll have a schedule.
Okay. Where would you like to start today?
Yeah, I guess just like this, just start just looking at, you know, the daily life that I have, and, you know, figure out, you know, where I can put some time in. Like, I know for me, like my schedule has been back to back, like every single, you know, and this course has been a priority for me. You know, I'm hopping right from work right into my course, you know, and I know it's only temporary. So, and this is good. I could not maintain that for life, you know, and I know it's only like a little snippet of my time, of my life, that I need to do this. And I do give it my all. Like, I just, yeah, like I feel like right now there's a lot of things that are coming in, you know, down the pipe. So like I'm wrapping it up for my school year at my work. So I work in the schools as an Indigenous inclusion support employee. And there's just a lot happening there right now too. And I guess that's part of the reasons why I'm feeling like this, because I just, and usually like I can, you know, go to the water, or I can smudge, or, you know, like going for walks, getting out into nature, diving into a creative thing that will help me. But the last while, for a long while, I have not gone to some of those things, and they each provide me something different to help balance. And yeah, and as I'm, you know, wrapping it up for the school year, there hasn't been a whole lot of breathing time. Like, I've had some downtime. Like, I am selfish with my time outside of my work and my course here. Like, the things that, you know, have been forefront. But even still, like, I don't feel like that time. Like I even go down to the beach and I take my work with me. So it's like, you know, I'll be down there and I'll be studying, you know, reading, you know, up on all the PCC, you know, markers, and reading scenarios, and, you know, all this kind of stuff. And just, yeah. And like right now is like, I understand it's only temporary, but I'm feeling like I really am feeling, how would you say? Like, I just, yeah, I just need to, I don't know, if I could just go to a cabin in the woods with my canoe and, and just, you know, that I think would give me some of what I need. Like, maybe take my beading with me, you know, take some leather projects with me, you know, and just go to a cabin in the woods near a lake, like right on the edge of a lake, so I can put my canoe in there. That would be perfect.
So as you're, I mean, it was very detailed about the cabin and the canoe and taking your beading and leather work. As you think about that, how does that feel to you?
Feels light.
Yeah, I noticed as you started talking about the creative sense, your spirit lifted and you started to smile more as well.
Yeah, I've actually got tears in my eyes right now, so it's just, yeah.
So what's stopping you from creating that breathing room, as you said?
Yeah. So I've got a contract with an organization that I'm doing, and so not only have I got my course I'm doing with Cheryl right now, and my schoolwork is, my school job is, wrapping up and pressure's on for graduates and stuff. But I've also got my contract that I'm fulfilling with some clients. So I am booking over the weekends and I'm booking during the week, and I did put the pressure on for me, like I did, because I know that if I don't do that, because I've did the group coaching, so the contract is, a couple of group coaching sessions for the participants, and then they each get 2 one-on-one coaching with me afterwards. Like if I wait too long to do the one-on-one, since we finished the group coaching, that I just don't want to lose that momentum for them. And so, I booked the one-on-ones quite quickly, and thinking, back on the contract, I probably could have done this contract differently. And I know that part of it is it's so important to me, this contract, because they're reaching the marginalized people, like women who've been abused, and they're coming out and they don't have the confidence and the faith, but they're building on it. And it's really important for me to put out all that I can for them right now, because it's only for a short little time. I'm only, like some of them only get one more one-on-one and we're done, and that'll be it. So it's not like for months on end, it's only for a couple. And I guess, what I'm feeling is I'm just putting myself out there for a couple of different areas, like putting myself out there for my job, my daytime job, because I got students who are graduating. I got 27 of them. Friday we have graduation, and there's tons of stuff I'm wrapping up. And at the same time, I'm putting myself out there for my coaching, which is fine, but there is a lot there. There's a lot of, I'm giving myself out there quite a bit, and I'm not, my social time, just needs to be like not about my jobs, like not about my work. It's about silly things and fun things, and just, watching the ducks, or just, just canoeing around and floating around and just having fun conversations, or important ones too, reflective ones is great too. Like, but so I just need to fill myself up.
What can you do to free up time in the short term to allow you space to be creative and to watch the ducks or canoe with the ducks? I don't think you said canoe with the ducks. I think I created that, but the ducks might be there when you're canoeing.
You might as well be canoeing with the ducks, since they're, I think that part of it is just, if I get my canoe on the roof of my van, then that will be my signal to go. Like, that will just, give me that, just give me that signal, like time to go.
What has stopped you from putting your canoe on the roof to date?
Nothing really, just haven't thought about it. I've been thinking of other things. I've been working on animal hides when I'm at home too. So it's like, which is part of my job, because I teach, about that with the kids. And I was racing against time, because we've only got like this week pretty much, and then till like Wednesday next week. And so I'm trying to get an animal hide ready so we can at least smoke it so they can see that process. So it's like bringing my work home, to do. And it's like tomorrow morning, I'm going to be arriving at my regular time, but I would have been up already getting my fry bread dough ready to do some fry bread. And if you don't know what that is, it's like just an indigenous, how would you say? It's just like something that's tied to indigenous culture. And fry bread is just, there's a movie out there, I think it's called Smoke Signals. And it's about indigenous people and fry bread. It's quite funny. But yeah, anyway, so tomorrow morning I'll be up early, getting that ready at home. So like these things that I should be doing at work and leaving at work, I'm taking home with me. And it's like, but I've done it to myself. Like it's because I put the importance on it. I put, the value that people will get from it more, like I put it more of an importance than my own rest and my peace of mind. So, I mean, thank goodness next week's the last week for summer break. I'm looking forward to it. But it's just, I'm learning a lot right now just around my own time management and, just around valuing myself and being strict with those boundaries. As much as I would like to, have this done, just to accept, okay, this is as far as we got done in school for work, to leave it at there. If they want to pay me more to get somewhere with it, then they can pay me extra hours, right? But to not deplete myself, because I do, like, it's the same as, the Trail Skill Center though, too. It's like, I'm going to put myself out there. I'm going to do all that I can for certain things because I want to. But I think that I'm going to have to just schedule in my calendar because I go by my phone. Like everything I do is in my phone calendar. That's what keeps me accountable. That's what keeps me on track is my phone. And so I'm just going to put in there some time to go canoeing, some time to go hiking and getting out there.
When you think about canoeing or hiking, is there an ideal amount of time that you're considering on a weekly basis that brings you that joy?
Well, if I had it my way, I would just go for the whole summer for 2 months. And nobody would know where I was. Just a few people would know, of course.
Now I know why you were laughing when I asked that.
But it's like, yeah, and maybe that day will come where I can go away for a couple months, and just live like that. I'd be very happy if I could have that balance in my life. It's the one thing that's missing is being out in nature, being out in the country.
How has not having that balance served you?
I don't really know because I'd have to think on that. All I know is that I'm happier when I'm got the country in my life. Like I'm not in the country. Like I don't live in the country anymore. And I realized that just a little while ago that I belong in the country. I don't belong in a city. I'm not a city person. But I have the river just down from me and I got the mountain in front of me. So I've been focusing on those and kind of shut everything else out the best way I can, but I still doesn't take away the fact that I got neighbors, you know, and which is fine. Like that's, you know, it's not like I'm antisocial. Like, you know, I think I'm pretty friendly. And I believe I'm pretty likable. It's just I'm used to minding my own business. I'm used to being in my own little world and just kind of doing my thing and not having people just pop in. Just hi, you know, like just like what are you doing? You know, which is fine. But you know, I prefer to like when I'm, you know, when I was living out in the country, like I preferred just, you know, connecting to the land and, you know, connecting to whatever was out there. And yeah, so, and the people who join me in those areas are people who are the same mind, of the same spirit, and get the same thing out of, you know, being in nature that I do.
So we have about 8 minutes left as we're progressing towards your goal, which is to make sure that you have scheduled time for that, those internal things that you love that bring you joy, not internal things, things that bring you internal happiness and joy. I'm sorry, joy was my word. Sorry. So how do you feel we're progressing towards that?
Feel pretty good. Yeah, because like if I was to pull my calendar out right now, I was scared to look at it. I mean, the one good thing is I got a massage tomorrow. It's gonna be deeply.
Is that in a canoe? No, I'm just kidding.
I wonder how that would work. Yeah, so like yeah, I got some peer-to-peer coaching on Saturday, but it's in the morning. So I could go canoeing on Saturday. Yeah, I'm gonna put it in my calendar right now, actually.
Well, and you also talked about blocking out putting your canoe on your car. Is that something that you would need to block on your calendar as well?
Yeah, actually. Well, I mean, now that's in my head that I'm going canoeing on Saturday, but I don't want to put my canoe on after I get a massage. That just wouldn't work for me. Maybe after our class on Thursday though. So
What are you able to do to continue to revisit your schedule to make sure that you're adding time to do the things that bring you happiness? So we
yeah,
have one scheduled, which, right? That's a good step.
Yeah, I'm just gonna keep doing this, like, because I live by my calendar. Everything is in here that I need to do. Everything. You know, so like if anyone asks me you know, when did you do peer coaching? I can have all the dates down right here. Like, yeah, I did it. See? Yeah, I just need to schedule it in. Like if I want to do some beading or do some leather work, I think I just need to put it in my calendar too. And even if it's just, you know, an hour a day, you know, like I'd be happy with just an hour a day, just, and even if it's not that much time, you know, maybe even if it's an hour a week, you know, I'd be happy with that.
So what can you do to have that pre-booked in your calendar so that it's a time that is already designated for you each week?
Yeah, I mean, like my phone can do that repeat.
Okay.
date. So like, I got my canoe going on my roof, and that's a good step. And yeah, I'll have to just, think about when I want to do some beading and some leather work, and then just start that process. Just put it in my calendar and have it every single week at the same time.
And how often are you hoping to go canoeing? In like a month or a week?
Yeah, so like I've got the summertime break coming up here. So if I'm going, once a week, I'd be happy with that.
Okay.
And ideally, I would find a cabin in the woods somewhere with a lake, and I can stay for about 4 or 5 days and canoe every day. So if I did that, I'd be happy for the rest of the summer if I could have 4 or 5 days in a row.
So what steps can you take to find that cabin, that ideal location for yourself?
Well, I think I know where it might be. So, I mean, the thing is, I do want people to go with me. I don't want to be totally by myself, because I'm kind of used to that. I do want, something a little bit different, and share that with people who, who are my friends. And so, yeah, I just need to plan it with them.
Okay. Is there a time frame in which you're hoping to do that?
I'm hoping like within this month.
Okay. To find the place and the folks, right? Or to actually go?
To go.
Okay. So today we explored a number of things, really trying to focus on you being able to engage more in that creative side that brings you so much happiness that as you do talk about it, it's you can sense a change in how happy you become when you start to think about going canoeing in the cabin. In my head, I have a visual of what that cabin and canoe looks like. It probably is not accurate, but it does look relaxing and fun. And so you started today wanting to have a schedule or a plan to be able to spend more time, especially as you're wrapping up a number of the school year and the projects that you're working on. And so you put in your calendar to go canoeing on Saturday after you put that canoe on Thursday night. And then to put in your calendar to do just an hour once a week to do some beading or leather work or something just for you. And then you also are hoping to gather your friends and find that ideal cabin to go for 4 or 5 days to go canoeing and live in a cabin with some folks that you enjoy spending time with. Did I capture that fairly well?
You did. Yeah, you did really good with that. Thank you. Yeah.
Is there anything else that you would like to talk about before we close our session today?
No, I just want to thank you.
Is there anything that we could have done differently today that would have helped you?
I don't think so. Yeah.
How would you like to close today's session?
Yeah, I appreciate, this time to reflect on this, and, thank you for your time and your ears.
Well, thanks. Well, I look forward to hearing about your canoe trips.
Thanks.
By the way, I think if I had to put a canoe on the car, it'd probably be the death of me.
There's a trick to it, honestly.
Is it? I was gonna say,
yeah.
I just imagine this big. Yeah, I mean, I've done paddle boards, but a canoe seems like a whole nother realm.
Yeah, there's definitely a strategy. You gotta, you come at it from the side of the angle of the vehicle, and then you push it over so it's across the vehicle. Then you swivel it so that it's nose is pointing forward and all that.
Okay. Thank you both. Marcy, how do you feel about that session?
I mean, I feel like I didn't do such a great job of getting an agreement. And then, of course, like one of my very first questions was closed-ended that I couldn't believe I asked a closed-ended. And then I interjected the word joy, which she didn't use. And I was like, oh, I shouldn't have used that word. Yeah, it was okay.
Okay. Okay. So I'm actually going to do something different with this. I'm going to have Holly give feedback for this session, and then I'm going to have Lori do the second one. So,
I was
and then
not
I'll,
great.
I'm coaching. Lori's
My
coaching the
husband was
second
in
one.
and out.
all right, Lori, this one.
All right.
I mean, yeah, Lori, this one. And then, oh, so yeah, so then we'll have to do Thursday night. Holly, you're going to get one.
Okay.
Oh, no, you're going to do tonight. Wait, are you coaching tonight? You're
Yeah,
not
I can do
coaching
the
tonight.
second one.
You're going to do the second one.
Yeah.
I'm coaching tonight. You want me to do Thursday instead?
No, I want you to do now.
Okay. So I think all right. Well, I wasn't expecting this. Hold on. Let me think. I loved how Marcy, I loved how you were really engaged. I felt you gave incredible presence. Your silence was spot on. You didn't overtalk. You might have interjected a couple words. You might have done like one close-ended question is all I heard. But I felt that you stayed with the conversation really well. You allowed Kim to just flow through the call with her. I personally thought you got the coaching agreement. I thought that you went and you got the outcome, the topic, the outcome, the measurements. Actually, you missed the importance. I'm sorry. And also, I think I do remember you saying like, and I believe I did not hear you say, where do you want to begin? So
She said that.
did? Okay. So
Yeah.
then it was just the importance that I missed. But overall, I felt like you were interested, you were engaged, you asked really good questions to move Kim forward. And the one thing that I was looking out for is if honestly, because it's one of my things, is whether or not you were over talking or like not pacing the call. And I felt that the pace that you had was actually really great.
Good. Improvement.
The improvement would be to get that importance.
Okay. All right. So when you give feedback, by the way, you have to be comfortable with giving the improvement piece, right? So I agree with everything that Lori said. Marcy, I think you had a good pace. You were there with, had good presence with Kim. You asked about her feelings. You had an agreement. You didn't ask about the importance. That would not fail you or anything, right? You had a good part of that agreement. You asked her where she wanted to start. That was great. One of the things in the importance and meaning. And so where would you like to start? Somewhat does the needs to address, right? But another thing that we can ask for the needs to address is, what about this is the most important thing that we focus in on? Right now, when you were getting the topic and the outcome, you asked a similar question because it was a broad outcome that she was asking. And so you asked her to narrow that down. So that was good. Again, you asked some of that, like, how does that make you feel, or how will that make you feel? You asked, what is stopping you from creating that for yourself, which is a great, question. Expanding the under 7, expanding the who. What do you need to be able to do? It was the canoe duck question, which I wasn't absolutely sure what you asked originally because that stuck in my head. You checked in for progress. How do you feel we're progressing so far? What can you do to put that in your calendar? What steps can you take to find that cabin? So you were asking those growth type questions as well. But areas for improvement. Besides the coaching agreement part, you asked about 6 or 7 is questions, and is your word. And I think I've told everybody has their word or 2 words that they use for open-ended questions. Yours is always is. So
What is?
What is? put the what in front of it. And that will help you to open up the question. It might even, it might force you to reframe the whole question, but that's fine. You want to get out of that habit of asking the is questions. The other thing is when, so the outcome was a schedule, right? She wanted a schedule. So she had the one thing to put on her schedule. And I think, so you allowed Kim to do a lot of talking, which, you gave her that space. But sometimes we want to rein the client in, right? To help them move forward in the conversation. So a good way to have done this here would be, well, what's the second thing that you want to put in your calendar? Or what's the third thing you want to put in your calendar? The other thing is that for the measurement to get really clear, you said, how will you measure that? How will you measure the outcome? And she said, I'll have a schedule or a plan or schedule. And then, so get even clearer, how many things do you want to be on that schedule? Right? Because a schedule could be one thing, it could be 5 things. And if she said 3, well, then you know what you need to help manage, right? Is to get to 3. And the client also knows because they said it. Well, if I just have the canoe thing, that's only 1. So I need to really work, or, finding the cabin is 2. Like, what are the things that I need to do to get the 3 on there? So just helping the client get really clear on that. And then, so that, what happened was that wound up being, so you couldn't ask about challenges or obstacles or accountability to following through on the schedule. So that's my feedback. What I want to go around and ask everybody what they noticed, something favorite that you noticed, but Marcy, with that feedback, how do you feel?
I feel like I still have work to do before Thursday or next Thursday.
A little bit, but you have, again, you have great presence, and you have your support is in how you talk, even to the, like, if we can see that, we can pick up on that. So you're very supportive, which drives a lot of the competencies and the markers, but just some things that you have to kind of focus in on. Okay, so I'm gonna Holly, something that stood out for you?
I thought, again, yeah, she has amazing space with people and holds it so comfortably. She did, I thought, a great job of, and you talked about this, like what's stopping you from creating the space. Like that's what I kept tuning into, because I think that competency is hard. 7, getting that in there and doing it appropriately. And I really loved when she asked, it's had to do with the ducks as well, so I forgot the beginning of the thing. But was like, how is not having this balance served you? So just helping her with her beliefs that are stopping her.
Yeah, good. And also, I do want to mention that question that you asked, what's stopping you from? That could typically be an obstacle question. So I just want to clarify it really quickly, but that was during kind of the discovery phase, right? So it's not really at that point where we're looking at the outcome and what obstacles there. So I just want
No,
to.
that was towards the end.
No, when she said, what has stopped you from, or what is stopping you from creating that for yourself? That's not really a, it sounds like it could be, but it would not be unless it was directed towards the specific outcome.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Gotcha.
Like it would be in
Yes.
response to the outcome.
Gotcha.
Okay. D? Deanna? Something you noticed?
Yes, I'm here. Okay, so let's see. She did the 8.5 post-session activities. Will you need to go ahead and load your canoe on your van afterwards? And then she did 8.1 where she was measuring the progress. She says, you know, she said we're 7 minutes out from finishing, and how are we progressing towards your goals? And then 8.9, she did really good at how you want to close the session. And then I really liked it when she did I followed you completely on this. Okay, the canoeing with ducks. Okay, I was right there with you, Marcy. And so at that point, that would be either that was the 6.2, speaking the language of the client, and also 8.8, which was she was kind of visioning with her as she's going along. So she was supporting her there, and um, yeah. So far, that's what I've got.
Okay. Thank you. Georgie?
Yeah, I got two, let's see, that caught my attention. One is she asked her, she noticed, did the energy shift. I noticed that. I noticed your spirit
That's right.
lifting, and then Kim validated that. And I think that was kind of a pivotal moment where Kim got teary, or said she got teary, and, you know, it felt like the insight started to emerge. So that was noticeable for me. And then I really appreciated the question when Kim was describing her ideal life that included having frequent nature connection, that Marcy asked, how has not having uh, that balance help you? And I marked those. The first one, 6.4 energy shift, and the second one, 5.1, coaching the person.
Awesome. Okay. Thanks. And Christine?
You're on mute.
Yeah, she's trying to get off it, I think.
I lost my mouse. So I was trying to find my mouse. So I really like that question as well of she asked a question about what serves her. I can't remember what it is that she asked now, but I felt that was quite a compelling question. I really liked how much space that she left and didn't interrupt. And there was one point where there was quite a lot that Kim was sharing, and she just sat there in silence. And I don't know if she was feeling some panic at the time, like, "Who am I going to get to the end of this?" But she did a really good job with that. And time management through the whole thing. And at the end, where she says, you know, we have about this much time left, and wrapping it up. And I think she got mostly everything in.
Yeah.
You know, I'm curious, would this be considered a PCC or an ACC? Or do you know?
It would be an ACC.
Interesting.
Yeah, you know, just for a couple things. The eight is not complete without talking about obstacles and accountability. Really isn't.
Okay.
And now, so the close-ended questions that she asked would not fail it, would not keep her at an ACC. Until it reaches like a percentage where we're looking at, okay, do we need to check what the percentage of, close-ended were here? That would be something to be concerned about. But still, you want to notice that when you ask more than like 4 close-ended questions, then it's like, is this a habit that needs to be broken or what have you? But really that for 8, and then also looking at, when we're looking at 8, we had an outcome of, a schedule. We didn't have a specific measurement, even though the question was asked, the coach demonstrated the question, but we want to get even clearer with a follow-up question. And that would have helped with 8, the rest of 8. That's where I feel a lot of what kept it at an ACC versus a PCC. Oh, it's not terrible though. It's not like it's low ACC. It's a high ACC, but is just some things for you to think about that elevates it to the PCC, are getting those things really clear and asking those follow-up questions.
I thought it was a really, really good session, but thank you for that clarification because I think it helps all of us be able to grow and do better. So thank you. I
Yeah,
think
you're
you're too
welcome.
hard on yourself, Marcy. By the way.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't I wouldn't say it was just an okay session. And again, your presence makes up, a lot of those competencies. So, you have a lot of strong points, just need to firm up a couple things. That's all.
1 week to do it.
1 week to do.
So the only question that I have is when we're talking about the coaching agreement, a lot of us were trained to go ahead and recite it back and be like, am I hearing that correctly? Do we have to revalidate it?
Nope.
Because that's the habit I'm trying to break. And so I just wanted to know if we had to do that.
No, you don't have to. What happens is, we want to be clear. So typically when you have the focus, you're kind of reflecting some of it back just by asking what the outcome is. So if we talk about such and such and such, what is it that you want to walk away with, right? What do you want to have at the end? It's kind of natural to include it that way, but we're not just going to say, oh, so you want to have such and such, talk about such and such and have such and such, and you're going to measure it this way. Is that correct? That's not what we're doing there, right? Well, we might use the information from the first question to ask the second question and so forth. That's okay. And it's not that it's bad to do that. It just becomes, if you do that, it becomes very rote. And that means that your rest of your coaching is going to follow that on some level because you're starting out your conversation that way.
That was a
That's all.
good question.
Yeah,
That
it
was a
good
great question, Lori. Good question.
Anybody else have a question? Okay. All right, let's go to our next session, which is Lori coaching Marcy, right?
Right.
Okay, so everybody have your forms, go off camera. Lori, it's 8:05. You want to get done by 8:35. Okay, you have the floor.
Hi, Marcy. How are you?
Good. How are you tonight, Lori?
I'm great. Thank you so much for asking. So what would you like to talk about today?
Yeah, so I'm a guardian ad litem, so I advocate for foster kids in the county that I'm in, and I started this just as kind of a way to give back to children who don't have anyone they don't have a voice, right? And I kind of did it because I felt like in a lot of regards, you visit the child, you do a report, you submit it. And I did it mainly as I didn't really have a case per se, but I did cases that were outside of my county. And I kind of did that intentionally. So you're not as involved with the whole court system and all of that side of it. And probably about 3 years ago, I took on a case that was in my county. And a few weeks later, the family took in a second foster child. And that was they call it a courtesy case. And so for the last 3 years, almost 3.5 years, I've been with this family and these girls. And I think it has let me see the really ugly side of how foster parents get treated. So asking, foster parents, these kids move into their homes, they do get stipends. It's not like a significant amount, but how taxing it is on them for what the state demands of them. And then just in general, how sometimes they're treated. So in my courtesy case, it has since closed. The child has been adopted, but it became extremely ugly between DCF, the guardian ad litem office, they really, I mean, they played the family members against the foster parents, said, I mean, just horribly ugly things about people that really should not be repeated, to the point where the woman that I reported to, who actually works for them as I'm a volunteer, ended up leaving the case. And then they gave me her work to do because she didn't agree with the recommendation for the child. So they just gave me the work, like I had nothing else to do. And I really, I mean, I stayed quiet just because I knew that I was there to advocate for the child. And I was really waiting until the second case closed to take any action, right? Because I didn't want to do anything that then would hinder the continuity of the second child being adopted. And she's pretty close. She should be adopted either, they say this month, but I would venture to say it's probably going to be next month. But once that case closes, I really want to have an outline of who and what I want to share about what transpired, just from the standpoint of, I feel like if people don't know, they might not anyway. But I feel like I need to share the story of kind of what has transpired and what happened to someone who can really start to look to make the system better. And I get that one letter maybe or one conversation doesn't do that, but yeah, I mean, down to the, like, just how irritating the system is. I was literally on the plane headed to Barcelona, and I got a text message from the guardian ad litem office that there was a staffing in 2 nights and nobody had told the foster parents and they had no dial-in for it. And so, like, I was the one who was responsible for doing that. And I'm like, this is not my job. Like, but DCF just doesn't, they just don't do anything. They just don't. And I get it. They're overwhelmed, overworked, whatever. But it's, you wonder how kids get lost in the system. Yeah. It's because they're just, right. People just kind of say, I've got too much. I'm not going to do it. So, well, I don't know if that's what they say, but I really just want a clear thought process of, you know, as this is rounding out, because I've really tabled it, because I mentally had to table everything that happened to get through the cases. But I've kept all my folders and notes because I knew I was going to want to go back and send, like, the timeline and documentation and the things that were said to, I think, you know, both the guardian ad litem office as well as, you know, maybe some state officials as well. That was a really long topic.
I want to make sure that you and I are on the same page. So what I hear you saying is that you have a story that you want to share, and your intention of that is to make the system better. And what you're looking for is a clear thought process. So explain to me, and you also mentioned like a timeline and documentation. Can you explain a little bit more about what you're looking to create today?
Sure. I just want, I guess I want to walk away with a deadline for myself, a deadline and goals of what I want to have by that deadline. So that when the child gets adopted, and the deadline will be a little bit nebulous because I got to wait until she's adopted. So I can't just say by July 10th, I'm going to do this, but I could say, you know, so many days after her adoption, I plan to do this. But to just have that on my calendar or have that plan and then have already started to articulate, I think have a plan of getting that articulated so that when her adoption's through, I can send that off and then almost feel closure for the whole thing. Because I don't want it just to lag on. And I have really tabled it. It was really with her siblings case that a lot of the issues arose, but yeah.
So you mentioned a couple of things. You said either a calendar or a plan, and ultimately your goal is to have closure.
Mm-hmm.
So if we were going to create anything today around this, sharing the story, getting that closure, what would be the best outcome for you?
I think a plan to draft my story, and then based on the adoption date, so it'll be a little nebulous, but a time frame in which to share that.
And how important is this to you?
It's pretty important. I think I've kind of stuffed it away. So I haven't really let it like live in my psyche for a while, because I don't think I would have been able to continue with the case if I did. So I think once the other case closes, it will probably simmer up to be way more important than it is right now. I'm a good stuffer. I stuffed that feeling down. And I did it intentionally, honestly, because I didn't want, right? Like sometimes your timing is as important as your message.
What would change for you and potentially the system when you achieve this today?
I think for me, it'll be that I shared the feedback and I am able to let it go on some level. And then I think for the foster parents, that it will give some clarity to some of the things that the system asks them to do, and the way that they treat them. That is, I don't even know why people foster, the amount that they expect of them. And just to clarify, right? Like there's taking good care of the kids, but it's people in and out of your house. You get notices the day before that you have to be in court the next day. I mean, it's all these like little things. They had a doctor's appointment scheduled for one of the children for a surgery, and they got a notice like an hour before that the state had canceled it because they couldn't make it. And they had taken time off work to be there. They had taken time off for the next week for the surgery. Well, all of that got canceled because the state couldn't figure out how to get, you know what I mean? Like those are the things that I think when you're a foster parent, like I don't know. I just don't know how you do that and have a job.
And what's that like for you?
I think watching it is painful, because I think there are a lot of people that would engage and give great foster homes that don't.
The thing that's coming up for me is that you've said that you had to stuff down all your emotions, that you don't understand why people foster, that you have this plan, that you want to go and just let the truth be known. And I'm paraphrasing that for you. I know that's not what you said, but when I say that back to you, what comes up for you?
Yeah, I think I want the people who can make the decisions at the state level to understand that some of their practices, you're hindering children from potentially having good homes. Right? The barrier to entry should be, there should be a barrier to entry to be a foster parent, but it shouldn't be so taxing. And they should be able to be more planful so that people can be successful. And we should be surrounding people who are willing to be foster parents versus making their lives more difficult.
And so in this letter, for a lack of a better way to ask it, like, what are you trying to accomplish with the letter?
I think it's important for, right? So I'm kind of a third party, right? Like I'm not personally impacted by whether I get a child or I don't get a child. So I feel like in some ways that's more powerful than a foster parent complaining about what happens to them. So I think complaining for lack of a better word, I think sharing the story from that third party point of view of this is what I witnessed in the system. And I didn't have, since my dog barked, I didn't have a dog in the hunt. There was whoever got the child, there was no, like, there's no everyday impact for me. Where I think if the foster parents complain or the parents, like all of those folks have vested interests in what happens. So I think it's just a powerful message when it comes from someone who, I'm a volunteer, you don't pay me. So it's not like, it's right. It's not like it's my everyday job, but I just think it's a different message when you share from a volunteer perspective of this is what I've experienced. I've also, because of my role, worked in different counties and see some of the goods and the bads of the different counties because they don't all run the same. And I think that's important for, I mean, maybe it'll make a difference, maybe it won't, but I feel like sometimes your job is to share the message, and then what the state or what the guardian ad litem or DCF offices do with that is really, that's then their responsibility.
And so where would you want to start?
I think with really thinking through I think I need to set time for a couple different things. And I think this is where I really need help. I need to think through who do I want to send messages to? And then create a straw model, if you will, of my message. And then after I have the straw model, tailoring that straw model to the person that I decide to send it to. So I think I kind of have like almost 3 buckets of work to have done so that when the final adoption goes through, that then I can move forward with that. And I think the other pieces is at the very end, select, am I going to send a letter or am I going to take my straw model and meet in person? Or as part of my letter, do I ask for a meeting? So now that you say that, I feel like really until I finish this class, I probably, right, we have a week and a half left. I probably until 4th of July weekend. I know ideally I said after she was adopted, which that's a little bit nebulous, but I think like 4th of July weekend, I have a 3-day weekend. I think I could spend time on the internet researching. And I have already done some of it, right? Like I've already researched the guardian ad litem office and who I want to talk to. So I've done some of those pieces already, but I need to look at some of the other organizations. And if I want to send it to the governor or, you know, somebody in the Senate or House in Florida, because it's all driven by the state. So think about, I could probably do that 4th of July weekend and at the same time pull out my handy dandy folder that has the timeline, because the timeline is pretty much already done, which would be the skeleton for the overall letter. But I had to do that because I had to testify in court. So like I had to have all the dates that I visited the child and all of that, right? So it's interesting, just on a side note, but people make recommendations for children that they haven't even ever met in court. So it's interesting, like DCF got up and they were like, well, how many times? Well, I think she maybe met her twice, maybe twice in like a 2.5-year time frame. But she had a massive opinion about what was best for the child. It was very fascinating. It's like, oh, wow, I see the child every month for like an hour. So it's just, you know, I mean, I think, you know, we weight people's opinions, but not everybody has the sure. So I think I do just need to draw that straw model, and then pieces like that. or the meeting, like not the parents not getting the information that they need. Those are some of the things that have just been overall concerns. Like, who's responsible for this and why is it not happening in a timely fashion? We had a judge that waited 6 months to terminate parental rights on a parent we never found. So they ruled on it in October, and they wouldn't even sign the agreement until like March, so that the child could move to adoptions. So I think things like that, right? Like, that's just not like what, you know. So I think twofold. So I think that weekend I need to do that. I need to do the straw model, and I need to think about it. And then maybe the following weekend, I can think about some of the other breaks in the system that I want to add into that straw model that are different pieces. And then I think I'll probably wait to formalize the letter until the adoption goes through. And then once it goes through, maybe I set a goal of like in the next 2 weeks, then getting those letters sent. Because I'll already have the email addresses. It'll just really be customizing the letters for each person. Just seems like a lot of work.
Well, it seems that you're very passionate about it.
Yeah, it's been my life for like 3 years. I did this just to help, and somehow I got all enveloped in this. I actually don't even know if I'll take another case after this. I'm going to take a big break.
So what is your intention with the letter? Like, what would be the best possible outcome from it?
Yep. For people to consider the expectations of foster parents and realize how unrealistic they can be with their time. They're just super frivolous with their time. Like, it almost feels like they just think they're waiting for someone to show up at their house. And right, like, so here's a good example. With the one child, we did Zoom visits with her cousin twice a week for 30 minutes. It was every Tuesday and Thursday, I think at like 6:30, we had to do these calls. And in fairness, she wasn't even 6 months old. So we're trying to do a Zoom call with a baby. And the foster parents, they sent 2 different Zoom links. They did not go to the Cheryl School of how to send Zoom links. They sent 2 Zoom links, one for Tuesday and one for Thursday. So the foster parents logged into the wrong one night, and they start sending these awful texts to them about why they're not on this call that they're required to be. I mean, it's just this like whole, and then the cousin one week, like 2 minutes before the call, messages everybody and goes, "Oh, I'm at a baseball game. I'm not going to make it." So, right. Like, and they're like, "Oh, we're so sorry. Well, that's great." And I'm like, okay, but the foster parents like plan to be at home and rework, you know what I mean? Like, have some consideration for other people's schedules and what they're trying to. So the whole thought process is they expect the foster parents to drop everything at every minute, but nobody else in the system has to do that for them. And I just don't, I don't know. It's crazy to watch. I mean, I watch it from afar and I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's crazy. So I think it's bringing awareness to how difficult they make it to be a foster parent. It should be difficult on some levels, but they make it so difficult from a timing standpoint that I don't know how anybody does it. So I want to articulate that, as well as articulate, honestly, just some of the total lack of maturity and trying to really do what's best for the child. I mean, I watched DCF and the guardian ad litem office create an entire fight between a family and the foster parents, which is never going to benefit the child. So I think it's just important to express that so that people are aware. And, I mean, maybe it will hold them up. All I can do is share. It's not my responsibility to do anything beyond that. It's not even in my control. So I think it's important for me to tell the story from that third-party point of view of what I witnessed, and then others get to decide what happens from there. And maybe mine's the first story they hear, but maybe mine's the 25th story that then makes a difference. or the final difference.
So hearing yourself state that you may be the first letter, you may be the 25th letter. Either way, it's going to eventually make a difference. Who do you feel would be best to support you in that? Because you mentioned the governor, you mentioned other people.
Yeah, so I think in actually writing the letter, I have a friend that I used to go to church with that she's kind of taken a hiatus based on some of the things she's seen in the Guardian Ad Litem program. So I think she would be a good person to kind of help keep me on track, as well as, you know, kind of review my letters to make sure that it's not like, make sure it's that nice influential letter that I want it to be. Maybe direct influential would be a better word. So I think she would be a great person who knows the system well enough that will be able to read it from that lens and be able to give me feedback. But I think she would be kind of that good partner in that as well, since she's had challenges.
Would there be anything that would get in your way from creating this letter?
Yeah, she's on vacation. That, I mean, it seriously might be a delay. So I should probably check in with her this week and see if she has any travel, or if she is around to maybe meet with me to go through the letter. She's a teacher, which would make me think that she's off for the summer, but I find teachers who are off for the summer find other fun things to do.
So we're almost at time. So at the beginning of this call, you said you wanted to talk about really creating a plan on writing this letter to impact, to make change, to make the system better. And you cited your plan, right? You want to think through who do you send the message to, get the skeleton, do the timeline, do the research, the 4th of July. You also said that you wanted to think about whether you're going to send the letter, ask to meet in person, and what that looks like. You have somebody that's going to be able to help you. When I say that back to you, is there anything else that comes up for you?
No, actually, I feel a little relieved. Kind of having it written, because I wrote it down as well. Having it written down kind of makes me feel a little like this journey with this child's almost over. And it's, you know, now it's time to see what we can do to make the system better.
So how would you like to close today's session?
I think just thanking you and asking for, you know, positive thoughts or whatever for, you know, the closure of this final case for this child to be adopted. She's been with this family for 3 years. So, actually 3.5. So to her, they are her family.
And so what would be, what was your biggest takeaway from today?
I think just pulling the emotion out of it and thinking through the plan so that I can write the letters in an effective way. So really coming up with that, right? Thinking through that I don't need to have the whole letter written. I can have a skeleton and then customize it versus having different letters for everybody and starting from scratch.
So would you say that we've been successful today?
Yes.
Anything else? We have just a couple more minutes. Anything else come up for you?
No. But thank you for listening.
Thank you for your time. Okay. Hi.
Hi. All right.
I was trying to keep my mouth shut and I felt it totally threw me off.
You're funny. Tell me what you're thinking.
I had so many thoughts going, and at the whole time I was trying to just like give her space. Don't overtalk her. Let it be.
Well, you did that. You did that. You gave her space. You didn't overtalk.
And I just felt like I felt like my energy was just a little bit off. I felt a little bit weird. I felt like I was going through the motions. I felt that there was multiple different directions I could go. I could have went with the emotional piece. I could have went with the plan, even though I like when she got into that, I felt like she already knew what she needed to do. So I didn't really feel I needed to go deeper with that with her. So I really focused on what's the intention of the letter? What does she want to accomplish? And what difference is it going to make? And then I started doubting, like, is this really what she asked me for? Right? Like I kind of like started playing a little devil's advocate in the middle of the session with myself of like, I didn't feel that I led her, but I felt like, am I giving her what she asked? Right? So I don't know. You tell me.
I'm not going to tell you. Holly's going to tell you.
Holly. Oh, that's right. Holly, let me have it.
Although I went out for 7 minutes Zoom. So, but, so yay, coaching agreement. You really nailed it. You got all 3 parts. I was specifically hardcore listening. And so like you were asking her about what needs to be addressed, what would be the best outcome for you. And I liked for like measure of success, you asked her, what are you looking to create today? So I thought that was a creative way. No pun intended, but that's the word that came out. For like the measure of success. So I thought you did great with that. And you really crushed it with the presence. By like for the coaching the agenda, like what will change for the system with this feedback. So like you were saying, like what's her intentionality with this and like what's her expectations. And then you asked her, I don't know if this is right after, but it is 5.3. So it comes after is where do you want to start? And that was like significantly into the session. You just kind of like went back and were like, where do you want to start? So it would have been really easy, I think, to just pick up and plow in. So that was great. The one thing I didn't hear, but I was off for 7 minutes. John's on the phone with the company. I didn't hear like a progress question halfway through, but I think that was like exactly when I was off. But that's something I was specifically listening for because that's what I'm trying to remember is just asking about the progress. And then you asked her quite a few times, what's coming up for you, and really letting her, like you asked it when you guys were exploring the topic and when you were like, what's the outcome she wants? And asking her, what else does she want to explore? So I thought the different competency 7s, the awarenesses were hit really good. But I missed that middle section. So yeah. Did she say progress?
No.
No. Okay. So work on your progress. Yeah, check in. There you go.
Yeah. Okay. So good feedback. I will say that this is the most presence I've seen you have in a session. There always tends to be a little bit of like either over talking or or what have you. So 100% improvement there. Also the coaching agreement. You asked what would be the best outcome. You asked how important it was. You asked her where she wanted to start. So you covered all that. And then, you asked, you were very focused in on her. I don't think you were worrying about you until later on in the conversation. You were really worrying about her. And that's where you want to be, right? You want to stay in that space of focusing in on the client. You asked questions like in the letter, what are you trying to accomplish? What is that like for you? What will change for you? All really important questions. What I would like to have seen, there was a part where you said the thing coming up for me, yada, 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 yada. What I would like for you to do is turn that around to the client. So instead of saying what's coming up for me when you said yada, 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 is to say, when you said yada, 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 what comes up for you? Right? Because it's not about what comes up for you, it's about what comes up for the client. And that would have put a little bit of a different twist on the rest and everything that followed from there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah. And then also checking in on, so you did say what is that like for you? But I would have just went right in and said, how does that make you feel? Like after she told that story, you could tell it was impacting her emotionally. And to me, you avoided the emotional piece.
I was so charged by this conversation. I was literally biting my tongue of being like going into the world of agreement with her about how shitty it is, to be honest with you, that like I was trying to stay as stoic as I could, like I'm trying to learn from Danny, right? Of like not showing my emotion around it, that it actually stopped me from getting there with her because I had a fear that if I went there that it would unleash. Does that make sense?
It absolutely does. But here's the thing. So we don't want to avoid our emotions. We just want to control them with clients, right? Because you having an emotion around something is good for the client. You're empathizing, sympathizing, celebrate, like that's good for them. You just don't want it to bleed into over to the client, right? So when you try to avoid it, it actually stops you from exploring the areas that you need to explore with the client.
Yeah.
So that's something to keep in mind, guys. That's what emotional intelligence is. It's not feeling, it's not keeping yourself from the emotional piece of it. It's how to manage those emotions that come up in those sessions to make it about the client and not about you. So, some people call it, use the word control, like to control your emotions. But for me, I like to say manage better because I just don't like that word control. I think it brings up other things. So if you can manage your reaction to the emotion, that's what's most important. But that emotion is what makes you connect to that client. So don't try to get rid of it. That's what I'm trying to
Yeah,
say.
and I guess I was just trying, like, because part of what I recognize is that I'm like such a huge cheerleader that I'm trying not to be that
Oh yeah. Mhm.
as much,
Yep.
right? And
Yes.
so I need to find that balance because like and the camera freaks me out too. Like if anybody else is in there, like knowing that people are watching me, it doesn't allow me to relax sometimes. But definitely the trying not to step into that big cheerleader role is really what I'm trying not to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's definitely, that's accurate. We don't want to be the cheerleaders either. We want to be supportive, but not a cheerleader.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I think that's an area for improvement is the emotional piece. And because we could tell that Marcy was invested emotionally into it. So helping her to work through the emotional piece as she's developing this letter and the action plan to bring it to fruition would actually probably have helped her to be more invested or more like think about the outcome of the emotion, how she's going to feel after it's done.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We want to help them have that vision.
Yeah.
So how are you going to feel once you're able to write this letter and give it to the people that can make that change?
Yeah, that's what I didn't do. Yeah.
And then, again, technically you hit those other areas, that Holly talked about. And then remember giving it back to the client instead of the thing coming up for me, asking the client what's coming up for them. I think that was it, but that was a good session.
It was okay.
No, it was, I will say that is the best session that you've had so far.
Okay. I just think it's really funny that out of anything, I'm such an emotional person that it's me not connecting emotionally is the one thing that I didn't do.
Connect-
Ah,
Well, and that's because you were trying not to.
yeah.
And so that just makes that, that, I wouldn't, I mean, not that I'm saying you were distant, but that's what can make us distant, right? Is trying to disconnect from it, all of it, then we wind up being distant and we don't
Yeah.
connect with the client. All right, let's go around. Kim.
Cheryl?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I sent a message in there. I'm sorry, I don't know if you started going around, but I actually, I don't know, I had a moment of when you started giving that feedback to Lori, um, um, I I heard it in a different way, and I actually did hear her or felt her being concerned with the emotions, and maybe this is different than when you were capturing, but I captured these questions, and I saw the process being really beautiful. She, Marcy was having a lot of a lot going on and was feeling a lot about the scenario that she described. And Lori asked, what's that like for you? Which
Mhm.
started bringing the emotional piece. And then she reflected or brought back, like, the stuff down, all your emotions, and asked her what comes up for you. And I heard, Marcy then described a lot in there, which then I think was really beautiful, and how her reply kind of naturally flowed into Lori's next question. What would you like to include in the letter? Um, so
Yeah, I mean, I definitely mentioned that. She did say, what is that like for you?
yeah.
Um, but when Marcy was describing the situation about this particular case, and she talked in general in some ways about foster parents or foster families, but then she was talking specifically about this case. And you could hear there's some anger in there. You could hear there's some, sadness. You can hear, look, there's a bunch of emotions going on.
Yeah.
And so to help the client work through them, how's that make, how does that make you feel when this situation happened, these kind of situations happen?
Mhm.
Or how did it make you feel seeing that this came up for the client, or whatever, like something specific that's going to help the client process that emotion of what they're describing.
Mhm.
And then comparing it to how they're going to feel when they have resolved it, when they've done the letter and given it to, like, that's a vision, it's and tied to emotions, right? It's like, okay, so this is how we're feeling right now. How are we going to feel when this is resolved? And when we have that, we've written the letter. That's my first question would have been, how are you going to feel when that letter is written? And then how's it going to feel when you actually, turn it into somebody who can make a difference? Right? Because again, it's part of the visioning, and it helps with commitment um and just the client being able to visualize that outcome.
Got it.
So just a little bit more in depth of it. But thank you for that.
Got it. Yeah.
Feedback.
Thanks.
Yeah. Kim, something you noticed?
Well, Lori has I think a style of coaching, and because I've coached with her a few times now, and I love how Lori, you paraphrase and then you come back and say, what's, like you just kind of like go, what comes up for you, like yeah. So I think that brought up a lot for Marcy, because she just kind of opened up after you had asked that. So
Okay. Thanks. Dee?
Okay, so I've got on 5.1, I thought she did really well on coaching the agenda when she was saying, what are you trying to accomplish? That was real good. That was a real good clarifying question there. And then on 7.3, when she asked intentions for the letter, would that be expanding the topic, expands the topic on
Yeah.
what is the
Yep.
intention for the letter, expands the topic?
Mhm.
Okay. And then I got on 8.6 that she brought in some resources who would be able to help her. And she talked about the friend or colleague. And so she brought, that support in. I love that. And I loved her at 6.7, her succinct summary. And I love that when, after she did that succinct summary very well, that she said, is anything else coming up for you? And then at that point, she got the relief, yeah, I feel relieved, and that the system can work better. So I love that she got that relief. That's what I always coach too, when you can get the client to feel relief, drop the microphone. So I thought it was a beautiful session.
Awesome. Thank you. And Christine?
I was first of all really impressed with the way she summarized the topic. The topic was really long, and I think I probably would have had like 1,000 words to summarize it, where she just was very concise and very spot on. I really liked that. She talked a lot less, got everything in pretty much. Everything was open-ended. And I really do, Lori, appreciate what you said about because I also felt it in this session when she was talking about this, and I was thinking to myself, yeah, someone, you go and you write this letter. And I just really felt this emotion come up about what she was doing, and how she was empathizing and understanding the perspective of the parents. Anyways, it's just, I also, like, for me, I felt myself kind of almost swaying from the coaching session in thinking about that, and I had to keep bringing myself back. So I don't know what that was about, because I normally don't feel that way. I think I missed accountability. I don't know, maybe it was in there and I was just missed it, but and I
Yeah,
think
she
I
said,
missed.
how would you be supported?
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
And I think I missed a progress check-in, but I thought it was really great, and I thought her presence was quite amazing, and how she held space for her.
All right, great. Thank you. And we got Georgie's feedback, which was great as well. All right.
And
Anybody have questions? Go ahead.
I have a question. And so out of so thank you everybody. Like, I want to hear it because we're never done, right? We're always growing. What would I need besides like the progress? What wouldn't have, and like clearly the emotional piece, what else would have, geesh, what else would I have had to include in order for that to be PCC?
That's a good question. I feel like new learning area maybe would have been helpful. I mean, you asked her what her favorite part was, but maybe again, just like asking something like, what have you learned about yourself today, or what have you like, instead of asking what's your favorite part of I just don't like that question personally. I don't know if that might be a bias, but I just don't like that question. I'd rather see you have something that the client has to think about, like, yeah, like what or even if you said something like um what kind of growth do you feel you've made in the session, or um something like that has the client be introspective. But I feel like it was probably close enough. I'd have to re-listen. Go ahead, Dee.
I was thinking if she were to explore the energy shifts I thought that that would have made a big, huge difference because you saw her tearing up, and you tell me, but exploring those energy shifts, because there were a couple times when that they happened really in a big way. So,
Yeah, I think that goes with the
yeah,
emotions. So you have to explore the emotions and then explore the energy shifts. Those things, those two kind of go really well together. And so, yeah, I think I think that just all kind of stems from that. And because I feel like you were avoiding it, that maybe stopped other questions that you might have asked.
I'm gonna 1000%, because from the second that Marcy like started talking about it, my emotions just flared. And so I started the session really heightened, and I probably should have acknowledged it at the beginning of like, maybe even saying something like, this is a really heavy topic, like, what do we need to clear in order to have this conversation? Or like, what is it like for you to always be in this setting and see this day in and day out, is probably what I would have asked. And then that would have allowed me to like settle in and then still support Marcy. Like I felt like she showed, like, no offense, Marcy, I'm about to talk to you in about the third person, right? But I felt like you showed up there with like anger, and then I saw you get like really emotional, and like I was on that journey with you, and like the whole time in my head, I'm like, do not like, don't put your 2 cents in about how I feel. And so it stopped me from being like, those assholes, do you know what I mean? Like,
Now, I will say there was something else that you could have done though. You could have supported her in the way she felt about it. Like once
yeah.
you ask that emotional question, then you can say something like, I totally support how you're feeling right now.
Yeah. And I just was so like taken back because I could feel her emotion, that I was like, do not go down the road and like involve yourself in that. I guess, for a lack of a better way to say it. I
Yeah.
automatically put my walls up, and I didn't realize it until you pointed it out to me that that's how I was. I felt robotic though in it.
Yeah. And that's why, yeah. So that's what caused that. Okay. All right. Any other questions or comments on either coaching session?
So, Lori, what comes up for you? I'm sorry, I had to say that.
I love it. And I also
you
realized
stinker.
I need to change that line. I'm going to put another one in front of me.
You do say it a couple times in the
I
session.
do.
So,
It's my
yeah.
thing. It's my thing. It's my go-to.
Okay. All right. So Thursday night we meet for mentoring. It's we're only gonna have 2 hours, so we're just gonna do 6 to 8 on Thursday, and we're gonna prep you for next
6 to 8
Tuesday.
or 6:30 to 8:30?
I'm sorry, 6:30 to 8:30. In my head, I'm going, I would love it to be 6 to 8. No, 6:30 to 8:30. And then we'll prep you for Tuesday as well as after the coaching session. So I'll see you guys then. If you need anything in the meantime, message me, email me, what have you.
Do we have a workbook to do, Cheryl? Is that done yet, or?
It is done. It'll be in the post. It'll be linked in the post.
I downloaded
Okay,
it.
because that's
Who
what you
downloaded
want
it?
to do, right? You want us to use that workbook to send in our.
Yes. I think I sent that to you straight, Holly. I don't think I put it in the.
No, I just found it. I went through to see if it had been uploaded because Kim keeps asking. So I've been thinking,
Okay, maybe Jess uploaded it.
But yeah.
I
It was in the
I
up
didn't.
coach, but I had to go like back a few uploads, right? Like there was a bunch of chapters and then I found it.
Because I
Okay.
looked for that today.
I'm gonna so in my post, I'm gonna make that post that's gonna have all those resources. That's gonna be in there.
Okay.
Like, you don't have to go looking for it.
And we meet next
Okay.
Tuesday, correct? Not next Thursday.
Right. We meet Tuesday. There's this
And when are
Thursday
you
and this
doing?
Tuesday.
Sorry, Cheryl, when are you putting that up?
Tomorrow,
Okay,
because I'm tired tonight. Sorry. I'll do it in the
that's
morning.
okay.
I'll do it in the morning. Okay. Thanks, guys. And I'll see you on Thursday. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Good class, y'all.
Bye.